following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to Ring and All of the Sports. My name is Leo Connors. I'm your host, along with my co-host, Derek Dukes.
What's going on, y'all?
Who, thank God, came back last week. Okay, and he's here for good. Derek, tonight we're going to talk about local independent promotions.
Yes, do some indie wrestling talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'd also like to talk about masked wrestlers, something that drew me to professional wrestling as a little kid. You know, there's so many. But
Well,
we'll get to who we can get to.
Starts from the 1900s to, the local guys when you go to Lucha Libre and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, and Lucha Libre, they're all mass wrestlers.
Pretty much, almost
know,
all of them.
Anything from Mexico and stuff like that is their tradition. You
Right.
don't take the mask off, and that's why people don't know who they are. They can walk out in the street like anyone else.
Absolutely.
Like TNA's Abyss.
Yeah.
I've actually walked through the airport with Abyss, and no one even touches him, looks at him. Well, he's a monster, first of all. The guy's 6'7",
Yeah, he's huge.
365
One of the
pounds.
nicest guys I've ever met.
One of the sweetest guys, too.
Really is.
But then, of course, behind him is like, Kurt Angle or AJ Styles.
Right.
And he's getting destroyed, and we're just walk into the gate, So,
Right.
so mass wrestling, it's definitely goes back a long time.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like I said, it brought me from a little kid. It's one of the things that drew me to wrestling,
Yeah.
and I like to talk about some of my favorites, and I'd love to hear some of yours down the line.
Definitely.
Real quick, though, while we're still on the topic, I read this today. The very first masked wrestler was in 1915, and his name was the Masked Marvel.
The Mass Marvel.
Yeah, and he supposedly crashed some type of tournament.
Mhm.
And that's about all I got to read about it. I was at work. I was a little busy, but I try to sneak in. I try to write my shows while I'm on the job on Thursday mornings.
Well,
But,
the real funny part about that, and this is a shoot.
Yep.
The original Mass Marvel, when finally retired and went, nowhere, shall we say?
Right.
Just pretty much back then, they didn't make anything for money. But when they did take a beating, they took a beating.
Right.
And those guys, the chairs that I got hit with, so on and so forth. Yeah, they're real chairs, and everything. But back then, they didn't have folding metal chairs; they had wooden chairs,
Right.
and they killed each other with them.
Right.
Well, FYI, is that he retired to Lynn, Massachusetts.
Whoa.
Yes, he retired to Lynn, Massachusetts, and I believe went into being a factory worker, because Lynn, of course, is where shoes started. The sole of the shoe.
Right,
was
right.
invented in Lynn. Good old, if you're from New England, Fluffernutter.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
Gotta love the fluff.
So he did that for a long, long time,
Oh,
and
wow. I
finally
had no idea.
ended up when he passed away. I forget. I want to say it was early millennium he passed away, but I sat and talked with him. In Lynn, every Christmas they do a big show, and they go through the streets and all the
Like a parade?
exactly.
Okay.
But it's more of a show than a parade, because
right.
they have like police officer lights, and they have the sirens and everything going. And actually sitting there, and there was just this older gentleman in a wheelchair. But I mean, just you could see he was beat to death.
Right.
A cast on this arm, and I'm like, this guy's got to be 80, 90 years old.
Right.
He got casts all over him. And it was the original Mass Marvel.
That's amazing.
So Christmas Eve, I talked with him from probably around 5:30.
Yeah.
I think one in the morning. No, my daughter's already asleep. I haven't put anything together for her. This is back
Right.
in the day. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, finally, and he was so excited to actually talk to someone about it.
Yeah. Especially someone that was probably as excited as you were
Oh, and
talking to
just to
him.
meet someone like
Right.
that, being in the business,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
meeting someone like that. But yeah, a little FYI.
That's amazing. That's really cool. That's a great story.
He was, like I said, he had to be. You figure if he was around back then,
Right.
he was a really young guy when he started too, real young.
Yep.
But he work a show, and you'd have to take a week or two off because of the beating from. He took a chair shot, what we consider a chair shot.
Right.
We're trained now to take a chair shot in certain ways and certain. Oh, don't get me wrong. When you get in the head with a chair,
Oh, it hurts.
It hurts.
Of course it does. Of course
But
it does.
I say this to everyone who always asks me about it. It only hurts for a second.
Yeah. Right.
It only hurts for a second. But yeah, it was definitely monumental to me to actually meet the original.
Yeah. That really is a great story.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
All right, so let's jump into the independent promotions.
Okay.
We're going to start off with a guy that's going to be on this show in a couple weeks. And I know in the past I've said guys that are going to be on the show, and it's never happened. Things,
Yep.
obviously don't go right all the time. But Sheldon Goldberg of New England Championship Wrestling
Great guy.
is going to be on the show.
Great guy.
In a week or two, me and Derek haven't decided on, who we're going to do first and what week, whatever. But we got him, Mark Beaudry, Rich Palladino, all lined up to do the show.
Right.
New England Championship Wrestling. What do you got for me?
Well, I believe, from what I heard, they have a show in Wakefield, Mass.
Okay.
It's on May 7th. It's at the American Civic Center. They have a world champion, I guess. I've met this guy quite a few times. He is quite crazy, tattooed like you wouldn't believe, and he's got a wonderful, great wrestling name.
Oh,
The Masshole,
Yes.
Mike McCarthy.
yes.
Kid's crazy.
He's the heavyweight champ
He's
right
their
now.
world heavyweight champion,
Right.
correct? And he's an unbelievable worker, this
Absolutely.
kid. Unbelievable worker.
Charisma up the ass.
Just crazy. Everything about him, his moves, his wrestling skills. I definitely give him a thumbs up on what how he is as a wrestler. But like I said, he's their world champion. But like I said, it is going to be American Civic Center, 467 Main Street in Wakefield, Mass. Come out and see Mike McCarthy at NECW Wrestling.
Nice. And
Yes.
now their TV champ is Toto Loco,
Toto Loco.
who's actually I've seen him wrestle once, and he's very good.
Great. Yep.
Very good. He's not a big guy. He's kind of stocky though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
really
yeah.
stocky,
Yeah,
yeah.
stocky, kind of like you, stocky. You know what I mean? The tag team champions right now are vacant, so I'm wondering if they
Yes.
got. If I look up the events, maybe they have something going on. Let's
Maybe they
find
have
out.
a tag team tournament going on or
Yeah.
something.
Let's find out.
And a little FYI about
Yeah.
NECW. NECW is now, of course, will always be Sheldon's,
Right.
but former Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, the real ECW that I worked for,
Right.
Extreme referee Paul Richards,
Paul Richards, yes.
is now working backstage for NECW.
Now, hasn't he been doing that for a while, though? For a little bit?
He has,
Okay.
for years, let me tell you, for years and years and years, I used to go, after ECW went out of business in 01, you work the indies and that's what you do.
Right.
Paul would come to every show. And everybody from Balls Mahoney to Tommy Dreamer.
Right.
Come on, you got to do something. Let's start a Fed. Let's do this because Paul Heyman, of course, we all know is the mad scientist.
Of course.
But Paul Richards is an unbelievable mind of professional wrestling.
I've heard that from other people,
what,
too.
What don't anybody want to see when
Right.
it comes to Paul Richards? Because he's just full of all kinds of wrestling knowledge and everything about it. That is definitely the guy you want to start something with. And
Right.
I've been standing there, and just there's Balls Mahoney or Tommy or the rest of the soul Axel Rotten, and he's like, nope, I'm out of the business. I'm out of the business. I think it took Sheldon some punching, kicking, pulling to get Paul to
Right.
do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. They got a great promotion over there. A bunch of great guys and ladies.
Yes, yes.
They're ladies wrestling.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing as NXT. They're bringing the ladies wrestling back, and they got some unbelievable workers over there.
Nice. Now, I'm reading here. It says that the new NECW Tag Team Champion, the Regulators, Jack Maverick and Brute Van Zyke. Have you seen? I've seen Jack Maverick.
He's a monster.
big dude. Yeah, pretty good in the ring.
Yes.
Definitely. I haven't seen him a lot. I've seen him a few times. But I don't know Brute Van Slyke. Do you know anything
No,
about
I
him?
really don't.
Okay. They're managed by James Maddox, and they're going to defend their titles against the Canadian Giant Genesis and Alex North, who I'm not really familiar with
No,
those guys,
no.
unfortunately.
Yes.
I need to get my butt to a Sheldon show.
Looking forward to seeing
You know
it.
what I mean? I think me and you are going to start hitting some shows.
We
We'll
gotta-
bring the kid.
We're gonna start hitting all the shows.
I
because
think so.
We gotta start getting to know these guys a little bit more, so we can, promote the indie wrestling around here. Because
Right.
there's nothing better than promoting independent wrestling, man. That's
There's
where
nothing better
all-
than indie wrestling too. I mean,
There really
especially
isn't.
for kids. You go to the shows. It's half the time, at intermission they come out. The kids can meet them, get autographs, take pictures. Go to a WWE show, you don't get that.
You can't
You
get
don't
that.
get that.
You can't get that. And that's just the way that things are. But at least with the independent wrestlers, whether you're a face or you're a heel, depending on old school, depending on the promoter how he feels.
Right.
Let me give you, for instance.
Okay.
So you have UFO Wrestling.
Yes.
Wonderful,
Pat Dillon.
wonderful person, Pat Dillon.
First guest I ever had on the show.
Great guy, unbelievable person.
Yes, he
Heart
is.
of gold.
Yes.
Pretty much UFO Wrestling they do it all for Boston Children's Hospital.
Yes.
Me, myself, working for Pat quite a few times.
Right.
And he's whether you're a heel or a face,
Yep.
he wants you to go out and be with the crowd because it is for charity.
Yes.
And you know what? Whether you're being booed or you're being cheered, you're
Yep.
putting asses in the seats. The
Yep.
people are there to see who that is. Like I
Right.
said, whether you're a bad guy or a good guy, because
Yep.
the terminologies, is the fact of going out there, meeting the people, doing your thing. Because, like I said, it is for charity.
Right.
You know.
And he's been doing this for a couple of years
Yeah,
now.
and he
you know,
only
and he
does
puts
it-
on good shows.
He only does it for charity.
Nice.
And that's
nice.
what I loved about working for him. I
Right.
loved doing UFO. I loved working for Pat Dillon because it was unbelievable. It was fun. The locker room was really full of love and a lot of
Positivity.
a lot of positivity.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
unbelievable.
Right.
And that was the best part about working over there with him.
Nice. Now, on that same show, Toto Loco is going to defend his NECW television champion against the former champ, the Heat, Chris Pyro, who I've seen Chris wrestle a
Yep.
couple times, and I was pretty impressed with
Yeah,
Chris.
definitely.
Definitely a good wrestler. Now, the women's champ right now is Nikki Valentine. And I guess she has a tag team with called Maximum Impact with Vanity Vixen and Ramona Romano.
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with Vanity. She
Okay.
used to wrestle and and also manage Morbus, Moda. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, guys, but he for Jeff Costa up here
Okay.
at the AWA, and she's I like her. She's a pretty good worker. But they're gonna take on. It's gonna be a six
Oh,
women match,
okay.
and then we're gonna take on Mistress Belmont, Alexis
Whoa.
Nevaeh, and the Black Widow Eve.
Whoa.
Now that ought to be good. I'm a huge Mistress Belmont fan.
huge
I like
fan.
Alexis too, and I like
Right.
all the girls in this.
Right.
But I'm a huge fan
Wow.
of
Mistress
Mistress Belmont,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's awesome.
I saw her come out one time, and it was kind of in a way like the Finn Balor type entrance. She had the goggles on, and I'll tell you, I ended up I can't remember the name of the show, but some kid put on a show, and there was a one and done. He had it at the brewery in Lowell.
Okay.
And every time I was talking to him about the show, he was asking me for advice and stuff. I'm not into the wrestling like that. I'm just
Right.
a fan, but I gave him the advice that I
Yep.
could give him. And he kept telling me, on my second show, I'm going to have this, and on my third show.
Oh,
And I
boy.
said, you got to get through your first show.
Yeah.
And guess what? He used his tax money, ran the show, it bombed, and he never ran again.
Never ran again.
Never ran again. But the thing that got me the most that night was Mistress Belmont's entrance.
She's great.
She's an amazing worker.
Kathy is a really great worker. She lives in northern Maine.
Wow, I did not know that. I thought
Yeah.
she lived in New Hampshire.
No,
I really
she
did.
lives in way northern Maine somewhere.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it might even be past Augusta somewhere.
Wow, that is far.
So you figure she drives from, let's just use the round to say Augusta.
Yeah.
She drives from Augusta, Maine, 95, all the way to all Sheldon shows. Sheldon
Right.
only does shows in Massachusetts.
Right.
Did a few in Derry.
Yeah, he did do a couple
He
in
did a
New
couple in
Hampshire.
Derry.
Yep.
I worked one of the shows up there for him. But he does a lot of shows in Massachusetts. So that's how far she drives. That goes to show you the love she has for this
Right.
business.
Yeah.
Kathy's great people, and I give her 8 thumbs up if I had them.
Nice. And the thing was why I brought her up like that is on that other show
Right.
was I told the kid, you should push her to the moon because at the time, nobody else was going to.
Right.
So if you're going to do, a woman's title and all that down the line, that's the girl you
Right.
put it on because no one was doing it at the time.
Mhm.
And she's an incredible worker.
Well, you know who Alexis is married to?
Yeah, Die Hard.
Yeah,
Right? Die Hard Eddie Edwards.
Eddie,
Yep.
of course, working for TNA still as
Right.
one half of the Wolves, one half
right.
of the
One of
World
the
Tag
best-
Team Champions.
One of the best local wrestlers.
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
Definitely.
First time I seen him, I knew he was going to be good. And he was a 17-year-old skinny
Yep,
little guy.
exactly.
But you could tell he had some talent.
He had heart too. He
Oh,
had
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
crazy heart for a kid his size.
Right.
He's not a big monster guy. You know,
Nope.
he's not a big. But Eddie is a great hand. He's a great worker, great backstage. Definitely someone to talk to.
Right.
Eddie and AKA Roxy.
Yeah.
The old Roxy.
Yep.
And Slick Wagner Brown
Right.
have a school.
I seen that.
I believe it's in Connecticut.
Yeah, I was going to say it is in Connecticut.
it's in
Yeah,
Connecticut.
'cause Slick, I can't remember the name of it, but I do know Slick's got a gym,
Yes.
a training school.
Yep.
I really wanted to get him on. He didn't have Skype and stuff. I'm going to talk to him again down the
Oh,
line.
I'll get a hold of. I'll
Because
get a hold of him.
I'm a huge, huge Slick Wagner Brown fan. My daughter Sarah, that's her favorite wrestler.
Nice.
She loves Slick,
Yes.
and he's always been so good to
Yep.
me and the kids. But and also on that show will be Slick Wagner Brown, and
Yes.
he's going to take on sensational Scott LeVake.
Oh,
and with Sami Lane and Sensational's Corner.
Yes.
That ought to be a real good match. And there's 2 more matches that are going to be announced online. Tickets for this event are $15 for adults. And this month they're having a Kids Appreciation Night. All tickets for kids under 12 are just $5 with the paying adult.
Not bad.
I think we got to go there because
Oh.
I can get Jazz Aaron for $5. That's a deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
That's a deal.
Definitely is.
All right, so what do you got next? What are we going to look up next?
I think we should probably move to a good friend of ours, Mr. Pat Dillon.
Yes.
UFO Wrestling. We already
UFO
talked about it
Wrestling.
earlier. They have unbelievable shows, and their next Boston Children's Hospital show
Yes.
is at the Elks Lodge in Tewksbury, Mass.
Yep.
Beautiful, unbelievable, beautiful place. It's a 7 p.m. start. It's June 17th,
Nice.
and their world champion since the dawn of time is the one and only, the Kingpin, Brian Milonas.
Love watching him wrestle.
Man, for a sec, he reminds me
Big
of Owens.
dude.
You know what? Here it comes. I'm going to say it. Kevin Owens.
Yes.
That guy that can wrestle.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Milonas uses his advantage uses his size to his advantage.
Yep.
Because he is such a big guy, but he can work.
Right.
And he can drop elbows, and he can drop a good leg drop, and he's a great worker, that kid. And that's why Pat definitely keeps him on, because the crowd loves him,
Right.
whether he's a baby or a heel. But he's just a great worker, that kid, and he does a great job.
Nice.
Definitely.
We have a lot of time finding the website for UFO, but you said Brian's the champ, the
Brian's the
heavyweight
champ,
champ.
yep.
Do you got anybody else,
Well, see, the whole thing is when it comes to UFO,
Yeah.
when it comes to, you and I could be the tag team champions tomorrow.
Right.
It's just the fact of it's for the kids.
Yep.
It's to raise money for Boston Children's Hospital. One of the shows I worked for them, we did it. It was huge, and they come out back and they tried to give us all pay.
Right.
So probably, let's say 20 of us in the locker room.
Right.
So you get your pay, and you went. I looked over another wrestler. He looked at me. Looked at another wrestler. We all went right back to this young lady,
Nice.
Heather,
Yep.
who does a great job working with Pat. We all pretty much gave our, no, we're all doing this for
Nice.
free.
That's
and,
awesome.
And then from there, they never paid us again because we said,
You don't want.
don't do it.
Right. Right.
We're doing this for the kids.
Right. And for Pat.
And for Pat, of course, but
yeah.
Pat is doing it for the kids.
Absolutely.
And I believe that show we raised over $9,000.
Wow.
Well, because
For
what
an
hap-
independent show, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot
That's
of money.
a lot of money.
Because what happens is that you get people involved. You call people. You go, hey, listen, I'm doing a show for Boston Children's Hospital. Would you like to donate something? Oh, of course I will.
Right.
And we have raffles, and the whole wall is all raffles. And
That's awesome.
let's say let's say it's a buck a raffle.
Yep.
Well, let's say that 100 people buy one raffle.
Right. $100 right there.
No matter which way you look
Yeah.
at it.
And
Well,
you know people are going to spend more than $1 when they're buying raffles, especially when you have so much stuff out there. People
Exactly.
will spend $5, $10.
But that's the whole thing. They're not
Right.
spending $1. They're gonna
Right.
go, no, just give me a roll. Give me 10. Give me
Exactly.
20.
Yeah.
So you figure 20.
That's
let's even
awesome.
call it $20 per person. There's
Right.
100 people there.
That's a lot of money.
That's
buddy.
great people, and that's great money, and everything venue-wise, anything all goes to Children's Hospital.
Nice. That's such a great thing.
It
you
is.
said, Pat's been doing that for years.
And he does a great
and,
job.
And he does a great job.
Does a
And
great
he's,
job.
He's a great guy. What's the date of that show again?
The date of that show is going to be June 17th. It's 7 p.m. start at the Elks Lodge in Tewksbury, Massachusetts.
Tewksbury, Mass, right down the road from my parents' house.
Nice.
My parents still live in Lowell, right on the Route 38 line.
And that's exactly where it is. It's right off of 38.
right, I know right where it is. That's
Big,
awesome.
beautiful place.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice.
Beautiful.
What do we got next?
I think we should probably move over to a local federation.
Yep.
Good old Chaotic Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I know he's a good friend of yours.
Yes. One of the owners is my friend Mark Beaudry.
Yep.
Who's also definitely going to be a guest in the show. I talked to him
Can't wait to
last
talk
week.
to him.
He's a great guy.
Can't wait.
I've known Mark for years. We used to work at Pizza Hut together back
Oh, my God.
25, 26 years ago. But they have they've been running in Lowell. They've been running
Yes.
in Methuen,
Yep.
Lawrence. Those are like the three places I know
Yeah.
that they've recently been.
Mhm.
They no longer have the Polish American Club.
Correct.
So they moved over to a school, I think it is.
Yes, they are at Lowell High.
Really?
Yes, they're
And
at
that's
Lowell
going
High
to
School.
be April 8th?
That is April 8th,
Wow.
and is going to be their world champion. Of course, is
And
Chase
that's
Del
Cold
Monte.
Fury, right?
That's Cold Fury.
8? I think it's 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here's the best part.
Yes.
My friend and WWE Hall of Famer,
Ooh, my hair's perked up.
Ron Simmons is going to be there.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Damn!
Yep, exactly. And Ron and I we're very, very good friends. I've worked with Ron a lot.
He seems like a great
He's
guy.
unbelievable, and he's also one of the guys that technically,
Yeah.
the first black world heavyweight
Yes.
champion.
In WCW.
That's correct.
NWA, WCW. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's when they were moving over to
Yeah.
WCW anyway.
Right.
and
I
big-
think it ended up being WCW, but it's still the same title.
you better
It's
believe
still
it.
The same
It was
title.
still the same title.
I'm
And-
actually going to meet him. I'm sorry, real quick.
No.
In April 16th at the Icons of Wrestling, but we'll talk about that
oh,
later.
right.
Yeah.
But it's the they do. He does a great job. I worked with him quite a few times, and definitely, like I said, one of the guys you want to sit with and talk. And I've driven
Right.
driven up and down the road with Ron.
Wow.
And it just, I've been to his house. It's a big, beautiful house. He lives in Atlanta, and every time he sees me, he's always asking me. He has all kinds of classic cars.
Oh, okay.
He collects like 50 series trucks.
Oh, wow.
But his everyday driver
Right.
is a 1970 Nova 350 SS.
Wow.
Fire engine
nice
red,
car.
black top, beautiful car. And
Yeah.
every time he's like, "Oh, I'm having car problems. I'm having this. I'm having that." We walk through it. We do this. He's got some really nice trucks in his barn. He's a vintage car collector,
Right.
but he's also just a hell of a guy, man.
Yeah, he seems it. He really does. Seems like he'd be a lot of fun to hang around with. And like you said, you already did.
Oh,
so.
and he's unbelievable, and he likes to smoke cigars.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Him and JBL.
Yep, they love cigars.
All right, so I guess in the main event for this card is going to be Chase Del Monte defending his Chaotic Wrestling Heavyweight Championship against the sure thing Mark Sherman.
Mark Sherman.
Mark Sherman, who started at the bottom in Chaotic
Better believe
Wrestling
it.
and worked his way up. He's very talented.
Yeah.
Very talented. I've met him a couple of times. He's been really nice.
Mhm.
I think he's a pretty good worker.
Yep.
He's got size.
Yep.
He's a big kid. What's he, like 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah.
He's a big kid. Chase is about, what, 6 feet?
I think 6'6"
Okay,
Yeah.
and Chase is another good wrestler. I remember seeing
Great
him for the
worker.
first time like 6 years ago,
Yep.
and I was pretty impressed with him. You
Mhm.
know, also on that night, they got for the New England Championship, it's on the baddest mofo on the show, Brandon Locke,
Brandon Locke.
with his manager
Oh,
Adam Barasano.
love that kid. Love Adam.
And he's taking on that guy, Mark Sherman's former partner, Scotty Slade.
You know, good for Scotty.
I like Scotty.
Scotty is a guy who was a referee and decided to train a little harder, a little more, and he's what, 100-time World Tag Team Champion. The kid's crazy.
I know.
Him and Sherman did a great job. But I'd like to go back for a second because I
Yeah.
love Adam.
Yeah.
That kid.
He's really good at his
He-
job, man. He's really good.
Why he's not working for Vince or NXT? I'll never
Right.
understand.
Yeah,
The
me
kid
either.
he's unbelievable on the mic.
Yes, he is.
His promos you're like, is this Indies? What the hell are we
Right.
doing?
He's got a good little gimmick and a good
Oh,
look.
Great,
He does.
great gimmick, great look. I'm definitely going to give him 8 thumbs up again because that, like I said, if I had 8 thumbs, I'd give it to him because that
Right.
kid, I've worked with him quite a few times at a few shows, especially over at UFO.
Yep.
And he brings the hate.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
and
Oh,
they
yeah.
hate the hell out of him.
Yeah.
But
He's good.
But he's good at what he does.
Exactly.
And we're going to use the terminology every time, putting asses in the seats.
Yep.
Whether they boo the hell out of you or they cheer you,
Right.
you're putting asses in the seats.
Yeah.
If they didn't boo him nor cheer him, he's not doing his job.
Right.
But the little kids scream, "I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
you," and
Yeah.
and when he comes backstage, you got to see the look on his face. He's not all bummed out. He's excited because he's being noticed
Yeah.
for what he does.
Right.
So I'd like to definitely give 8 thumbs up to him.
8
too.
thumbs up
Better
to
believe
Mr. Adam Barasano.
Better believe it.
A match that I'm very interested in seeing is the Kingpin, Brian Malonis,
Oh, yeah. Oof.
versus Donovan Dijak. One, if not the hottest independent
Yep.
wrestler going right
Better
now.
believe it.
Right now, there's nobody hotter
Nope.
than Donovan Dijak.
Nope. And he's skyrocketing right now, working for
6'7".
He's a big monster kid, working for Ring of Honor right now.
Yeah.
He'll be working for NXT in no time.
I guarantee you. I
Yeah.
think you're so right on
Yeah.
that. That kid has
Yep.
talent up the wazoo.
And his persona is like
Yes.
perfect for his size,
Yes.
for what he does. You know how he uses it.
Yep.
And it's so funny when you see him in there against a smaller guy.
Yep.
So let's use the terminology smaller guy.
Which almost everybody is practically
Compared
when he
to
gets
him,
in the ring.
6'7", 6'8", the kid's an animal.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's so funny when you see him like in there with like Jay Lethal, who
Yeah.
they're all little partners there, and
In the House of Truth. Not anymore.
right,
They turned on
They
him.
turned on him,
Yeah.
right? So that's when you saw that, it just Jay's a good friend of mine, so
Right.
and I
Love
see
Jay.
Jay and I see him over there with Dijak, and just like, oh boy, I hope they're not ever gonna fight because.
Right, right. Now, I guess there's going to be a King's Court challenge as the King, Ilya Markopoulos,
Oh my God.
is going to be taking on whoever takes on the open challenge.
Right.
So you never know who it's going to be.
Now, it's funny about him. He actually got to do. I don't know if you remember Gut Check.
Oh, yeah, he went down there. He did a good job, too.
Did a great job.
Didn't hire him.
But they, and I actually sat next to and had dinner one night with Al Snow.
Right.
And we were in, I forget whatever show we were doing in Massachusetts. And I sat next to Al, and Evan was there. And they had a good conversation and
Right.
talked. And Al said, I'll shoot with you. You know, I have no problem with
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I'll
of
shoot.
course.
He goes, it's not personal. I'm just a voice.
Right.
And he said, and he shot right on him. He was shooting. He goes, it had nothing to do with this or that. He pretty much told him the truth. He said it has to do with a bunch of people
Right.
who decide on things. And he didn't make it, but I thought he did a great job.
I thought he did
a great job.
too. I mean, they could have hired him. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
that's how good of a job he did.
Yes.
What do we got next?
We got a place down in Smithfield, I believe it's called. It's New World Wrestling.
Polygamori.
Yes. It's going to be Saturday, March 26th. Bell time is 7:30. Smithfield Elks Lodge in Rhode Island.
He runs there quite a bit. I
Yeah.
think that's where he's been running the last couple of years. Let's see. Let's check out
Another one doesn't do too many shows, but
Yeah.
when he does, I heard the house is always packed. As a matter of fact, he's got a local guy, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
The Dynasty Bo Douglas on the card,
Oh yeah.
and I believe, which
Bo.
I'm going to shoot for a minute.
You gotta get
I
him.
really-
Come on.
I know,
Yeah.
we gotta
You
get him,
have
I
to,
know.
dude.
I'm going to shoot for a minute that
Yeah.
I really feel bad because I heard Bo's going up against the great Pharaoh.
Oh, he's a monster.
I mean,
Oh,
that's-
is he huge?
I mean, that's the guy the Undertaker would look up on.
yeah.
know what I mean?
Almost anybody. would.
Yeah.
He's legit
Yeah.
7 feet.
Yeah, he's a monster. Big
He's
guy.
been traveling, outside of New England too.
Yeah.
I've seen results of him up in Canada,
Yep.
Ohio,
Yep.
and that's good because you're not gonna. Obviously, you can get better staying in the area,
Of course.
but you're gonna become more well known by traveling up and down the
You better
East
believe
Coast,
it.
going to the Midwest,
Better believe
maybe
it.
Canada. Like Jason Rumble told us how he's been wrestling in Canada.
Yep.
If you notice, like some of the guys are back in 2002, Slick and April Hunter, they started breaking
Yep.
away from New England and going down to Jersey, all
Mhm.
pro wrestling and things like that. Wrestling
right.
for Steve Carino's promotion,
Yes, yes.
Premier Wrestling
That's right.
Federation.
Yep.
A lot of the guys down actually went down there. Matt Storm,
Yep.
Matt went down there with Draven, I think it was,
Mhm.
when they were the, do you remember that? Dogs of War, maybe?
Maybe.
I think that's
Yeah.
what their names was. Matt, if I got it wrong, I'm sorry. But you're also a guy I'd love to have sitting here between us and have a nice conversation with. So Paulie, is he back to being Paulie, or is he still Chainsaw?
When
What
it
was that, Chainsaw what? Crazy Chainsaw.
Crazy
That's what it
right,
was.
Right. When it comes to him, you never know. You never know at all because you don't know what gimmick's going to go from the next to this. But he runs a pretty decent promotion over there in Rhode Island.
Right.
He's got a good, because it's the way that he does his thing. A lot of people come out to it because they're
Right.
all local guys up
Right,
there.
right.
So all the local Rhode Island talent goes in and they pretty much pack the house pretty good. They do a good job.
Nice. And he's been around the business for so long.
Yeah.
Brought into the business by the late great Tony Rumble. I used to love going to Tony shows. You always were so entertained at Tony shows. Always, whether it was Century Wrestling,
CWA.
NWA New England. I used to go down the beach
Yeah.
and watch his shows down at
Yes,
Salisbury
Salisbury
Beach.
Beach.
And he had the Eliminators
Yep.
down there. I mean, Tony really knew how to put on a show from top to bottom. He had you entertained the whole night.
You got to remember guys like Tommy Dreamer, Taz,
Yes.
excuse me, the Tasmanian.
The Tasmaniac.
That's right.
Yes, back then that's what he was.
Kevin Sullivan.
Wasn't Dreamer T.D. Madison back then
Correct.
too? Yep, and he had a partner, GQ Madison.
GQ. Yeah.
I
yes.
think they were supposedly kayfabe brothers.
Right. Right.
But yeah, they had a lot of talent.
They were
down there.
like surfer guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
And then speaking of surfer guys, I don't think were they surfer guys because I know they had another guy that was a surfer guy, Ray Odyssey.
Yep.
Ray Odyssey wrestled
Yep.
for Tony quite a bit.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys did. Jason Rumble got,
That's where he got his
as
start.
Jason Rage, he got his start down
That's
there.
right.
A lot of guys, Slick Wagner
Slick
Brown,
Wagner Brown.
Louis Ortiz.
Yes.
All those guys get started by Tony Rumble. Rich Palladino
That's right.
got started by Tony Rumble, was definitely going to be a guest. You have no idea how excited I was when I hit him up.
I love Rich.
And he's like, Leo, thank you so much for asking. I'm like, you kidding me?
You know how many
I
times?
need you on this
You know
show,
how many times I
Rich.
played fan plant? You know, when you're injured, you
Yeah.
play fan plant, and like I'll leave my hat on or whatever, and play. And what you know how many times that like Richie wasn't there, and another ref would come out, and I would get the crowd, "You're not Richie,"
Wow.
and then we'd play it back for Richie. You just see a tear in his eye, and he's like, "Thanks, guys."
He's the best.
He
He's
really is.
the best in New England.
Great
I'm sorry,
guy.
but you know, there's a lot of ring announcers and all that, and Lillian Garcia is lovely to look at
Yep.
and all that. But I swear to God, I'm not just saying this. I would much rather have Rich Palladino
Oh, yeah.
do any wrestling show
That voice.
than I'm there. He's got the perfect
He's got
voice.
that perfect voice. Yeah.
Perfect
Yep,
voice.
definitely.
And he's so respected
Yep.
around in and out of locker rooms. I
Mhm.
mean, everybody loves him. I've never heard anybody say one bad thing about him ever.
Yep.
And I've heard people say bad things about almost everybody.
Yep.
But not Rich.
And then
Not
and then
Rich.
finally when he was announcing for ECW, the crowd would just, you know, thank you, Richie, or just Richie. They chant. You could just see the love they had for him because they
Yes.
know what kind of person he was. And
Right.
when you
Was
hear that
is.
voice, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but was
Oh,
as in
okay. Yeah, I get you
because
saying.
of ECW. You know,
Right,
ECW is
right.
now out of
And
business.
he did
of course.
that. He did the mass shows, right? A
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
you
them?
better believe
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Actually, all the mass
Did
shows.
he really? I
Yes.
didn't realize because I didn't get to go to all of them.
Yep,
but-
he did all the Massachusetts shows.
Wow, I did not know
And
that
he,
part.
it was just so funny because, like I said, a few times you're injured, you play fan plant, and you're like, all right, I got to start something. And you see it's not Richie. And as soon as the cameras come on or whatever happens, you start to chant, and you
Yeah.
got the whole crowd saying, "You're not Richie,"
Right.
over the announcer as he's trying to announce. And, yeah, you can see him getting a little ticked off.
Did you ever see when you go to the chaotic show? Sometimes they'll be before the show starts. We want Rich.
Yep.
We want Rich
Yep.
because they know he's coming out and he gets just a bigger pop.
Oh, he
as
really,
anyone.
when he comes out and they play the music. Oh my God, does that guy get a great pop?
And modest.
Very.
He knows how
Very.
good he is. He obviously does know. Plays it up. He like he says, you know, they're not here to
Right.
see him. But you know something, Rich? Everybody loves you.
8 thumbs
I
up,
love
brother.
you. I love watching you ring announce. And to me, you're the best in the business.
8 thumbs up. to
And
him,
I
too.
can't 8 thumbs up.
Got
Hey,
it.
how about 16 thumbs up? Because I'll give him
For
8
Rich,
too.
you better believe it.
And I'm so looking forward to having you on the show. Really, thank you so much.
You know, we've been talking about a lot of independent
Yeah.
wrestling. So a lot of people probably don't know, oh my God, where do I go to learn to be a professional wrestler, so on and so forth. Well, speaking of Pat Dillon,
Yep.
of course, with UFO Wrestling, they have a school in Wakefield, Massachusetts.
Yep.
It is called the Belltime Club.
Yes.
And
Pat talked about it on the
oh,
first
good. I'm
show,
glad he
which
did.
is great. Yeah, but please continue.
yep, head trainer is, of course, the Dynasty Bo Douglas.
Nice, great guy.
And Bo brings a lot of people in to help out
Right.
with these guys.
Right.
You know, Jason Rumble, of course, was always
One of his best friends.
one of his best friends and was also an owner. But Jason now, of course, is now working in Maine and Canada a
Right.
lot more.
Yeah. Got
And
the family. You
got the
know?
family
He knows
thing.
what's important in life.
Exactly.
Wrestling's great, but the family's always got to be
family's
number
always got to
one.
be number one, no matter what it is.
Right.
And yeah, the Belltime Club is on 40 Broadway.
Okay.
It's Building B. In
Building B.
That's right. So if you want to Google it, you want to do whatever, it's called the Belltime Club. It's in Wakefield, Massachusetts, 40 Broadway, Building B.
Nice.
And where they also do, because it's the Belltime Club, because it is a school,
Yep.
kind of like the same thing Walter did with his school, you know, Killer Quality School of Professional Wrestling.
Right.
They have, what they do is they have their own shows. It's not really something that, like Chaotic goes and sort of, they have a VCW, Victory Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Okay? And it's not a televised thing or anything like that.
They used to be on YouTube,
They-
though. I remember.
that's right.
Because Chris used to put it up. Is it Bartolo?
I think so, yes.
Captain Charisma,
Yes.
whatever. But yeah.
And I think what happened was, I think pretty much what they're doing with that is, I think they're using VCW for the students only now.
Right. Right.
So now what you do is
That's
you
good.
which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because you train them during the week, and guess what? We're gonna have a show.
Right. And they get to work.
So you invite some locals for $10 to sit in there or whatever, have a soda and a slice of pizza. And the local guys, when it comes to the kids who are in the school,
Right.
do a show.
Nice.
And why not?
That's smart.
That's the best thing to do. Why not let them put a camera in front of
Yeah.
them, let them show them that camera angles and so
Right.
on and so forth and what you have to do. If like when you notice when the WWE, you ever notice that they don't turn their backs? There's always that camera. You're always looking at the camera.
Right. The hard camera.
Hard cam.
Yeah.
Better believe it.
Yep.
There's a roaming. Of course, there's always
Of
a
course.
roaming.
Yeah. Of course.
Because that's where they go back and forth from.
Right.
But hard cam, like the match is over and you're done and you raise hands and so on and so forth, you go to hard cam.
Right.
You're going to talk into a microphone. You're going to, talk smack to someone or about someone. You talk into hard cam.
Right.
And Pat and Bo do an unbelievable job over there. And like I said, if you want to Google it, they have Facebook also.
Check it out.
I would check it out. The Bell Time Club in Wakefield, Massachusetts, 40 Broadway, Building B, where they do VCW World Wrestling.
Nice. I've actually been to one of their shows. I took Jai and he saw Chainsaw Charlie, and he was really little. And he didn't want to stay. He didn't
Really?
want to stay. I had to go in and tell Paulie, them guys, I got to go. He's totally scared. And Paulie's like, bring him in. I'm like, Jimmy, I can't. I
Right.
can't because he's just too scared right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's 4 years old.
Yep.
I said, next time I see you, and I know you're going to be at a show, I'll
Yep.
talk to him first, and I'll make sure we get over there, and you can show him that you're a
Mhm.
pretty good guy.
Yep.
Scary looking,
Yep.
but you're a good guy. All right, listen, we're
You know what?
Yeah.
I think with the independent wrestling, the
Yeah.
way that things have been going, probably maybe touch on it every couple of weeks. Just to
Absolutely.
See what's going on for newer shows. We can plug our good guys out
Yeah,
there.
I
The guys
agree.
who are kicking ass and taking names, putting asses in the seats to walk that aisle someday, to
right.
walk that main stage, because that's what it's all about. Real quick before we get into
Yeah.
I want to give huge shout out, and I will do this every week, and I don't care.
Okay.
Mercedes/Sasha Banks.
I love her. Love her.
You know, it's so awesome. Like Johnny, of course, John Cena.
Yep.
You see one of your own people
Right.
make it to the big stage and walk that aisle
And do it well.
and do it as well as she does.
Yes.
This girl is going to WrestleMania on the main grand stage for the women's championship title. I'm not doing the Divas BS anymore.
I
I'm
hear-
really
okay.
done with that word
Okay.
because it really is garbage to
Right.
me. They're not divas.
Right.
I told you, Lisa Marie.
That's a derogatory name.
It really is too. But Vince McMahon wouldn't let Awesome Kong use her name
Right.
because
Karma.
right, he changed it to Karma, and then when she goes, okay, why Karma? Because Karma's a bitch and the whole
Right.
thing. Awesome Kong, no, because you're a black woman and it has to do with this. And he really played that role to her.
Wow.
So he changed her name.
Stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Very stupid.
I don't know about you. I know Kia.
Right. I've met
Yeah,
her plenty of
she's
times.
unbelievable.
Yeah, she is. She's very nice.
I don't think any derogatory. When I think Awesome Kong, I'm thinking, oh my God, that monster
Yeah,
woman who
she'll
wrestles.
kill you.
That monster
Right.
woman who wrestles, which a couple of times, let me tell you, she almost did kill me. Shoot.
She's tough.
She's a big woman, in and out of the ring, but her heart is bigger
Right.
because she's just the sweetest woman. And I'm really sorry what happened to her over it.
Yeah. I didn't like that either.
Garbage TNA wrestling right now, whatever.
She is garbage.
You know,
Sorry.
it-
Sorry, TNA.
Listen,
Sorry, Eddie. I know you're working.
I
on
know,
it.
but you know what? You can't. Eddie and all these guys who are over there right now, they're doing their thing because they're getting a paycheck and they're working and they're doing their thing.
They have to. Right?
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, someone calls you up, you do what you think. But look what TNA, look what they've lost, man.
It's ridiculous.
Their two main guys, well, excuse me, three, because letting AJ go was the dumbest thing in the world to do.
Absolutely.
But now you got people, Bobby Roode, and Eazy-E's gone.
Right.
Eric,
Yep.
what are you doing?
Right. And what's his name just left too?
You know,
There's some. Remember, just like 2 weeks ago, somebody else left.
I mean, it makes me sick
Right.
because you have this talent who's been with you since day one.
Yeah. Yeah. Day one.
AJ was day one. Bobby Roode was day one.
Yeah.
Eric Young, EY.
Austin Aries is who I was thinking.
Austin.
And Joe's gone too. I mean, obviously they're with NXT. We've known that for a while.
better believe
I'm
it.
just
But you
saying.
know what?
How do you let these guys walk away?
A-Double is he's
It's
a
incredible.
crazy wrestler.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. And you know what? Why would you let guys like this go?
Because you're stupid.
You have the talent.
Right.
Use it.
Yeah.
No. Instead, they let their contracts run out. Let me give you a quick instance with James Storm.
Yep.
And I'll talk about James Storm all
Yep.
day. I think the guy is terrible. I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I never will be. But he went over to, we talked about it. He went over to
NXT.
NXT.
Yep.
And like I said, the guy was blowing up in a minute. It was only a 7-minute match. He was blowing up in 3 and so on and so forth. But
He looked out of shape. Too.
he looked
didn't he?
He looked terrible. He looked terrible. And from backstage talk that, he really didn't like what they were going to do with his character, what they were talking about. So supposedly,
Wow.
Triple H, Paul said, you have an open door.
Right.
Excuse me, I think it's bull. Bull. So, because I can't use the term we use for professional wrestlers that are terrible, but I just think that he is terrible and he's just not a great wrestler. But bringing someone like Austin Aries over and AJ Styles
Right.
is phenomenal.
Yes.
Let's use
No
AJ.
pun intended.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Because these guys are unbelievable workers.
Yeah.
And this is what they were born and bred to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely.
You know, I love both those guys. James Storm definitely came in out of shape. He had the little roll. I'm not saying
Oh.
I'm not in shape, okay? I'm just saying if you're going to be a professional wrestler, you really should try to get in shape.
Especially nowadays with what they want you to look
Yeah.
like, so on and so forth. I'm not Kevin Owens.
Right. Right.
But Kevin Owens gets a pass because the kid
Can
can
Of
work.
course he can. He's and on the microphone just as good as in the ring. He
Yes.
is phenomenal.
Yes,
And
definitely.
sorry, AJ, we just stole your
Yeah,
line.
again.
But
no problem.
let's get to some mass wrestling.
Sounds good.
Growing up as a kid, who did you like? Who made you go, wow?
Well, it's funny because I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts, of course, and we didn't have like cable back then, but you always had the good old black and white with the turn dial.
Yeah. Sometimes with the pliers.
Sometimes with the pliers, no matter what.
I know.
And
Been there.
I watched a lot of WCCW, which is world class.
Yes, love that stuff.
AWA.
Yep.
And once in a while, you would catch, the NWA was always on, but you catch the AWA, stuff like that. But once in a while, you'd see this one guy, and he'd come out, and the crowd would just go crazy. And as a kid, you don't really listen to what the announcer's saying. You just go, Mil Misker or Miss
Oh,
Sinis.
Mil Mascaris.
There you go.
Oh,
Mil Mascaris.
loved him as a kid. Loved him.
Unbelievable worker.
Yeah.
And he the way he worked, because the old school back then,
Yeah.
when it came to those wrestlers, the way he worked, people were like, what is this guy doing? Come over to the States.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I've never.
Right.
This guy's nuts. What the hell's going on? They've never seen a worker like
Yep.
that, because over in Lucha Libre and stuff like that over in Mexico, they teach you a totally different way.
Right.
He is just flying all over the place, and they're like, why is this guy off the mat? What is going on here?
I used to love that little line. It was more like hitting him with his arms.
Yes.
He would come off the ropes.
Yep.
It was really good. Yeah, Mil Mascaris was one of my favorites
Unbelievable.
growing up as a kid.
Definitely.
We talked about with the guy out there earlier,
Yep.
like El Olympico was another
Yep.
guy that I liked as a kid. He was more like an SD Jones.
Yes.
Where he would wrestle other jobbers
Yep.
and win, but then he would take on in the main event one weekend. He'd take on even Baron Miguel Cicluna.
Yep.
He would beat Baron, but then the next week he'd take on Ken Patera, and obviously he would go down to defeat.
Well, nobody beat Ken.
Oh,
Patera
back then Ken was incredible.
Nobody beat him.
There was a couple of guys that had dual personas going at the same time. And those were Dick Beyer,
Yep.
who was the sensational, intelligent destroyer. He also
Yep.
played Dr. X for Vern Gagne up in Minnesota.
For AWA.
Yes.
Correct.
Tim Woods, who wrestled under a mask as Mr. Wrestling.
Yep.
Not for you to think it was Mr. Wrestling 2. That was a totally different wrestler.
Yes.
Mr. Wrestling wore the mask and called himself that first.
Yep.
That's why 2
Yep.
took that
Right.
name. Also, Bill Eadie, who wrestled as Mass Superstar
Yes.
and Axe of Demolition.
That's right.
And those three guys were great wrestlers. Again, like I said, Mr. Wrestling, Tim Woods.
Yep.
Johnny Walker ended up coming in and putting the mask on. It was Mr. Wrestling
Yes.
2. And he was great with those knee lifts. Phenomenal wrestler. But I just get so many names written down here, Derek. It's amazing. Let me just go off a few of them.
Go ahead, please do.
Abyss. American Dragon, who ended up who was Daniel Bryan,
Yes.
Bryan Danielson. Another guy that played a couple of different ones in World Championship Wrestling was Brad Armstrong.
Yes.
Who was Arachnaman,
Yep.
and he also wrestled as Bad Street with the Freebirds.
With the Freebirds.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you knew this, but there was a Batman in wrestling in the late '60s. He wrestled in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
WWW.
His name was Tony Marino, and he
That's
wrestled
right.
as Batman for years. Beetlejuice.
Yep.
He actually didn't wear a mask, but he had face paint,
Yep.
and that was the late great Art Barr,
Yep.
part of the Love Machine tag team
Unbelievable.
with Eddie Guerrero,
Unbelievable.
who both now have passed. Big Man Vader wore a mask.
Leon White.
Leon White, and man, could he move for a big guy. Black Blood, who was Billy Jack Haynes.
Billy Jack Haynes.
Blue Blazer, who unfortunately in the costume fell to his death in the WWE, and definitely,
soul.
God rest his soul. He
Should
was,
be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'll fight anyone on that one, brother.
He will get in there. Unfortunately, it's he should have been in there already.
Politics. Politics. Politics should not be in wrestling. And not his ex-wife, his wife,
Right.
because they weren't divorced.
His widowed wife.
Widowed wife. They keep fighting about this.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Enough.
Right.
The guy was a legacy. He was a heart. He came from the dungeon.
Yep.
Enough.
Right.
Let him in.
Absolutely. Black Scorpion, that big angle they
Yep.
did, which was the voice. The voice was Ole Anderson,
Yep.
who also did the Shockmaster's
Yep.
voice, whatever. And it was actually played by David. He was the angel there. He worked in World Class also.
I'm not sure about him.
But yeah, he actually was doing a lot. Whenever Flair would be seen, he was under the mask.
Right, that's right.
But then in the end, when he was unmasked by Barry Windham, it was Ric Flair.
Well, like I said, remember that what they're talking about is that in the NWA,
Yes.
they wanted to, they tried to scare Sting with this
Yep.
masked guy and with the voice and the whole thing and
Yep.
the way he was built. And because, oh no, that's Ric Flair, which it was Ric Flair, but
Right.
on the Swerve gimmick, what they did was they put someone else in there so Ric Flair would come out and all of a sudden behind him would be this masked wrestler.
Yes.
Because of course Sting had the Scorpion Deathlock.
Yep.
And it was the Scorpion, and it was that whole big gimmick. But that was
Right.
it was pretty short-lived, but pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty
I'm
funny.
just looking up real quick to see who actually was doing that. He was also in Dave Sheldon, also known as the Angel of Death.
Angel of Death, correct?
Angel
Okay.
of Death. We had the Bullet, Bob Armstrong,
Yes.
who wrestled as the Bullet. I guess he put the mask on for the first time because he got all messed up and he had that plastic surgery.
Yes, so
he put the
it
mask
only
on.
came down enough
Yes.
to. I mean, it wasn't like a full mask.
Right.
It came down enough
Yep.
to where his whole face, like right here, was
Exposed,
open
yep.
because of the operation.
Yeah, and he could work. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he's still wrestling in independent shows down south. I would not be surprised.
It's funny when it comes to him because if you look at his sons,
Yep.
and Brad, God rest his soul,
The best worker
one of
them all.
and it kills me too because Brad was an unbelievable hand back in the NWA days.
Yes.
Would do anything for anybody.
Yes.
Back then, would do anything for anybody. But you had, which a lot of people probably don't know, that Jesse James / the Road Dog.
The Road Dog.
Jesse James
Oh, you didn't know?
is an Armstrong.
Yep. Yes, he is.
That is his dad. Brad was his brother.
Yep.
So it comes down to who your father / trainer is.
Right.
And Jesse wasn't going to be a professional wrestler. He was going to be a Marine his whole life.
Well, yeah, he was in the Marines.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was going to be a
Yep.
Marine his whole life.
Yep.
This is a guy who's in the Gulf War, for God's sake.
Right.
He was in the
Impressive
Gulf War.
kid to go over there on his own,
It-
you know?
Two tours.
Right.
2 tours.
Yeah.
Salute, God bless.
Right.
Awesome job.
He did a great job.
And he come out and didn't want to be a pro wrestler. Didn't want to do it. But that's what influence does to you. And now, I don't know if other people probably don't know this either. Now he's head of creative for WWE.
Yeah, he's the head writer for SmackDown,
Head writer,
right?
yeah.
On SmackDown.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys here. I'm just going to skip over some of them because if not, we'll be here for another 2 hours. Seriously.
I don't mind if they don't.
Right. But I don't know if you remember back, you brought up World Class Championship Wrestling. You remember the Checkmate?
Of course.
And that was played by Les Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that for years. I found out a few years ago, but I didn't know that for years. I was always wondering, who was the Checkmate? The Cheetah Kid, who was an independent wrestler back in the day up and down the East Coast,
Yep.
was the late, great Ted Petty, was part of Public Enemy.
Right.
The Patriot was played by Del Wilkes.
Del Wilkes.
And then later on, Tom Brandy bought
Yep.
it off him. But and the Dark Patriot.
Oh, God,
Eddie
yeah.
Gilbert brought him
Eddie
up. He
Yep.
brought his brother Doug, who played
Yep.
the Dark Patriot, who I love the
Oh.
character. You know, it's somebody. I'm not going to sit there and say Doug Gilbert is the greatest work or whatever. But for some reason, I always liked him.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because he was Eddie's brother.
Well,
I
you
don't
know
know,
what?
but I really always liked Doug Gilbert.
I've always been a huge Hot Stuff fan.
Yeah, me too.
I-
Huge.
Huge. Because back in the day, he was the maniacal one.
Yes.
But he was the quiet one. And that was his job. He did a great job
Right,
at that.
he sure did.
And of course, they were over in the UWF.
Yeah.
And he had Sting in his
Yep.
the original Sting.
Yeah. The
And
Blade Runners were managed by Eddie Gilbert.
that's correct.
Yep.
And
Was it Hot Stuff Hyatt Inc.?
Right.
That's where that
It
started.
was originally
right?
Hot
And
Stuff
you-
Inc.
Yeah, and then she
And
came
then
in.
Missy come over.
Right.
And there was it was Hot Stuff,
Slash
Hyatt
Hyatt.
Inc.
Yeah.
And they had they had the Blade Runners.
Yep.
And
Great.
and of course one time they had the what did they call him, the dog faced gremlin?
Oh yeah, yeah. Rick Steiner.
Rick
Yeah,
Steiner.
they actually had the Angel of Death with them too
Yes.
in the UWF.
That's right. So that's that was a great stable back then, and of course Sting and Rock,
Rock. Yeah.
Rock
yeah,
broke up,
Rock was
and
the
Rock
Ultimate
of course
Warrior.
became the Dingo Warrior
Right.
over in WCCW, and then when Vince saw him up there, brought him up as the Ultimate Warrior.
Warrior,
God,
yeah.
God rest his soul.
And we actually talked to the woman
Yes.
out there about. She told us how that was her
That
favorite
was her favorite
wrestler.
wrestler.
Do you remember, like in the day back when someone would lose a match, loser leaves town,
Oh my God!
and then
yeah,
all of a
course.
sudden this guy will come in wearing a mask, and he will look exactly and sound exactly like the guys that had just lost.
Yeah. Yep.
For instance, the Yellow Dog, Barry Windham, right,
Yep.
and the Midnight Rider
Oh.
was the Dream, baby.
Oh God.
Dusty Rhodes.
It was such a terrible gimmick, though.
And it's so funny because the whole world knew.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But supposedly that the referees weren't smart enough. You know.
Yep.
And we talked about this guy out there earlier too. El Olympico was one of the very
Yes.
first masked wrestlers I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, at first, when I saw him, he was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like a world champion. Then again, I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized he wasn't. By the time I got to like 9 or 10, I kind of knew
Right.
that he wasn't, as good
Yep.
as I thought he was.
Yep.
But he was very entertaining.
Yep.
El Olympico. Let's go. Rey
That's it.
Mysterio, Senior and Junior.
One of the best.
Unbelievable.
One of the best.
Still staying with the Mexican thing too. Juventud Guerrero, Psychosis.
Oh my God. Yes.
Phenomenal.
La Parca.
La Parca, yes. Phenomenal
These
work.
guys are great.
Absolutely. The Hurricane in the WWE.
Shane
Helms. Love that character.
Shane Helms.
That character was awesome.
Didn't.
What was it saying?
What up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Right. And didn't. I think The Rock put him over once.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think The
yeah, well,
Rock
I
put
know
him
The Rock
over.
was definitely putting him over outside of the ring for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And helping him out with promos. I remember he was talking, I can't remember the exact promo, but it was so funny where he turns around and he's pretty much saying that the Hurricane's cuckoo.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
we know who you are. You're really not a
Yeah.
superhero. And then, what's up with that?
Yeah, it was alright.
I like the gimmick.
I like Shane. So
Yeah, Kane,
of course the original.
great masked wrestler.
Yep.
Kwang, who turned out to be Savio Vega. He was there for a while. What about remember Lasertron, Hector Guerrero?
Hector Guerrero.
And he could work though. Hector, all
know,
the
but-
Guerreros could work.
Come on.
I know. Lord Humongous, who turned out to be Sid Vicious.
Yep.
Or Sid Justice,
Sid
Sid
Justice,
Vicious, whatever.
Vicious, right.
Psycho Sid,
Psycho Sid.
whatever you want to call him. Master of Pain down in Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
who ended up being The Undertaker.
Yep.
That was a
Oh,
great.
excuse me, Mark Calloway.
Oh,
By
yes,
the way,
yes.
happy 54th
Yes,
first
was it
birthday.
today, right?
51.
Today. Kenny Lockhart on Facebook was saying
Yes.
that today. Wishing him a happy birthday. I
birthday.
like Kenny. Good
Yep.
guy. Real good guy. Kenny, I hope you're watching the show. I'll tell you right now. Okay? Because I'm going to take the battery out of your powered wheelchair if you're not watching this show. But there's a nice shout out to you, Kenny.
Love you,
You're
Kenny.
a great guy,
Love you,
man.
brother.
Love you too, Kenny. You're a great guy. Max Moon was played by two different guys.
Yep.
Paul Diamond and Conan.
Yep.
And I would have loved to have seen how far Conan could have taken that.
I think
character.
Conan actually did a little bit better of a job because he was more of the rough and tough high flyer.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking. I think
Yep.
I would have loved to have seen him doing it longer. Mr. JL, Jerry Lynn,
Yep.
incredible
Yep.
talent. We know. Everybody should know how great Jerry Lynn is.
Jerry Lynn,
If you
definitely.
watch this show, then you pretty much
Yep.
know how great he is.
Yep.
Down south, they had a guy named Mr. Olympia.
Yep.
Who was named Jerry Stubbs.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good on his own as Jerry Stubbs,
Right.
but he put that mask on, and he became like unbelievably better.
Yep.
Another one where a guy lost a loser leave time match and came back with a mask. Mr. R, Tommy Rich down
Yep.
in Georgia.
Yep.
That was a good little gimmick he had going down there. We talked about Mr. Wrestling 2 earlier. Some of the other ones that just go down the line, the late, great Chris Canyon, Mortis. That was a great gimmick.
Mm.
He could have went far with that. We talked about the Patriot earlier. Red River Jack, which was Bruiser Brody
Bruiser
under
Brody.
a mask. Another one that lost his, you know what I mean, lost to Loser Leave Town and came back to world
Right.
class as Red River Jack. The promos that Gary Hart
Oh,
used
God.
to cut, and everybody knows that it's you, Bruiser Brody, under that mask.
Oh my God.
You are Red River Jack.
I mean, this is the best.
Yes. Shock Boy. Kalisto now in the WWE going right now. Great wrestler.
Yep.
The Spider Lady, which was Fabius Moolah,
Moolah.
who won the belt kind of in the shoot,
Yep.
just like Bret Hart and Shawn
Yep.
Michaels. 1, 2, 3 real
Yep.
quick. And Wendy was so mad, she pulled the mask off. And when she saw it was Moolah, she was flipping
Yep.
out.
Exactly.
She didn't even get, from what I heard and what I read, she literally went to the back, grabbed her bag in or out wrestling outfit, and just left the
Yep.
arena. She was so pissed
Yep.
off. Let's see, the spoiler. We didn't even touch on him. John Jardine, one of the greatest wrestlers
The original.
ever. Yes, the original spoiler.
Yep.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Real quick, we had a local guy at the Pink Assassin
Oh,
who was
God.
Bob Shoop. Yeah.
Yes,
That was
Bobby.
the only local guy I could find when I was looking up this stuff. Let's see, Stagger Lee,
Yep.
who was Coco Beware.
Yep.
The Student, who was George the Animal Steel.
Yep.
Suicide from TNA, the Super Destroyers. There were so many of them, but one of them was played by Bob Slaughter, Sergeant Slaughter.
Slaughter.
Sweet Brown Sugar. But we're running out of time here. The tag teams that I loved, Masked Wrestlers, was the Executioners, the Grapplers, Len Denton,
Yep.
and the Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony. The Assassins, Jody Hamilton,
Yep.
and whoever, I think one of them was Tom Renfro, I think that was his name. The Blackhearts, the Colossal Kongs, Los Conquistadors, who was a different couple. Edge and Christian at one point with them.
Yep.
But I think they really were Jose Estrada and Jose Luis Rivera.
Yes.
Those were the original.
You know the funny thing is
Conquistadors.
about this. You could go on and on and
All
on
day.
forever
All
when
day.
it comes to mass wrestling.
Real quick, I want to say another one that lost their Loser Leave Town match and came back as the Cyberpunks. Wolfie D and JC Ice.
Yes.
Jamie Dundee.
Yep.
Loved it. And I still watch a lot of PG-13 stuff because I love it.
Good stuff.
But yeah, so I think we can go back to this maybe even next week.
We
Spend
do it
10
again.
minutes and talk about the independent wrestlers
Definitely.
that were down there. You know? But we got a bunch of good shows coming up soon.
Got some
Real
good
quick,
people
like I was
coming in.
telling you, I'm going down April 16th to cater for Hardcore, House of Hardcore 13. Tommy Dreamer, thanks for having me.
Nice.
Rob, thanks for hooking me up.
Nice. Very nice.
And I got a few shows coming up.
Yep.
Also, Big Time Wrestling. What else? NXT. I'm going to NXT. I'm so excited
Awesome.
about that. I can't wait to see who's there.
It'd be a good time.
But I definitely, I can't wait to see Samoa Joe if he's still
Yep.
there. But listen, that's it for us this week. Everybody take care. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.